welcome back to another Stoneforge Gaming video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Mantic Kings of War Dragon. Now this is sort of more of a regular fantasy style dragon. It comes in 3 large parts, although technically by the way the head could be swapped out for, I believe it's one of the greater demons that the Abyssals have. You can actually do it up as a whole separate thing. Now many people have this done up with like the High Elf King or whatever on his back. I just did it up as the single dragon by itself because I'm actually using it in a campaign for D&D, the Dragon's Demand campaign. So this whole model is actually a really big experiment in how much I can do with airbrushing without masking. A lot of it that is done on this model is actually done completely either by airbrushing or with the aid of airbrushing, and then layered on up and dry brushed and all that sort of good stuff as the higher highlight and things like that. So what I did was I went in, I airbrushed the whole thing green, and then I did a big giant wash on it, and then I started airbrushing the wings, and then did some highlights on the scales and the wings and the underbelly and all that. And then I went back in, did some dry brushing, and picked out the different highlights with my higher, basically my higher tones of either the greens or the, in some cases for the shades I actually went with a little bit of blue. You can actually see the blue still shining through on the hard scales on the back of the dragon. And what I really wanted to do was have these colors, because of the fact that a dragon is supposed to be sort of like a natural animal in some of its ways. I wanted a lot of these colors to kind of blend together. So like when you have the hard underbelly scales that go up into the smaller scales on the arms and the back and all that jazz, I wanted them all to blend together. So what I did was when I airbrushed them, I actually used those colors and blended them together so that you would have a little bit of the creams moving into your greens. You would have some of the greens moving into your creams, kind of back and forth. You would have a little bit of that cross-contamination that I feel like is much more natural than many people. I've seen this dragon done up most of the time as a red dragon with this similar cream scaled like underbelly or whatnot. And the thing that I don't like about that is the fact that at the end of the day, you don't get that. It's very harsh contrast between the underbelly scales and then the upper scales. So I just really wanted to kind of make that distinction a little more natural. As far as for the different highlights and stuff like that, I did pick a lot of those out, actually going up to white on some of the scale, or not some of the scales, but some of the horns and things like that, the teeth going all the way up to white, and then just kind of going up. For the eye, I actually did something a little bit different. I decided that I wanted to go with sort of a cat's eye sort of idea. So I did the yellows, and or I did like a yellow and then a highlight, and then I actually did just a line of black rather than a dot of black that you would normally see. And so I think that turned out pretty well. As far as the base here, because again it's a green dragon, the way that I did it up, most of the time with dragons you see them done on either dungeon bases, things like that. Because he's a green dragon, obviously he's going to be in the forest a lot more. I went with a very forest heavy base. So you have a lot of different types of vegetation. You have a lot of flocking on there. It's very green, very verdant. And so I just kind of went with that sort of a look for him. Now again, I'm going to be using this guy for the Dragon's Demand Pathfinder sort of mini campaign thing that I've kind of expanded into a larger campaign. So this guy will be the main villain that the PCs know from pretty much jump that they're going to be fighting this guy. So I think in the long run that this guy will actually be a very cool villain, just as far as an overall sort of evil dragon goes. Again, this guy was a blast to paint up. He was not super expensive, so if you decide that you want to pick this guy up, and again, I've seen a lot of people do him in the red. I don't really care for him in the red. I don't really know why, just something about the colors of him, but I really enjoyed this project working on this guy. And maybe this has given you guys some ideas for if you wanted to paint this guy up yourselves. I hope you have all enjoyed the look at this guy, and I hope you have enjoyed this Stoneforge Gaming video.